crack, guys? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you books that I want to reread. If I don't already have enough books to read on top of buying new books, having books on here that I've bought previously and have never read, books I want to read over summer, books that I want to read in general, why not just throw books that I want to read again into the mix? Generally, I'm not the type of person that wants to read a book again. I usually just read a book, and if it's good, I like it, and if not, then whatever, it's grand. But sometimes a book comes along that I really enjoy it and I actually want to read it again. These books that I'm about to share with you are books that are in that category that I love them so much that I want to read them again. And so without further ado, let's just get into them. The first book that I'm going to share with you is actually one that I didn't think I wanted to reread because it was a university required reading book. And a lot of the books that were part of my required reading list in university were ones that I actually did not read. I bought them for the class, but I ended up not reading them, and they are currently now sitting in a box to be donated because I have no interest in reading them whatsoever. Some of them I actually started and just could not get past the first page. But this first book is one that I actually very much enjoyed and actually did my final essay on, and that is Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. This is a story that follows this character who's invisible simply because people refuse to see him because of the color of his skin. When I first read this at university, I didn't really pay much attention to it. I just read it. I read it like quite blankly because, you know, I had to read it for the class. But then at the end of the year when I did my final essay on it, I actually paid more attention to it. Not so much for the racial aspect of it, but more for the migratory aspect of it and the location importance in the book. He went from the south to the north to follow prosperity, or in the hopes of prosperity, and so he gets expelled from college in the south and moves to New York to hopefully get a better life for himself, but ends up involved in a race riot. I don't really remember a lot about it. I read this maybe about 7 years ago. That's how long I've been graduated. So I really want to read this book again. I really enjoyed it first time around when I read it just speed reading, but I think I'll really enjoy it a lot more when I actually pay attention to what Ralph Ellison is trying to say in this book. The next book that I want to reread is The Long Goodbye by Raymond Chandler. This is the quintessential, like, almost like noir detective novel, and I thoroughly enjoyed this when I read it for class. It was in the same module with Invisible Man, and this follows Philip Marlowe, a private investigator who is hired by Terry Lennox after the murder of his wife. Now, Marlowe is convinced that Lennox is innocent, but later on in the book, Lennox commits suicide, and that leads Marlowe to this world where, like, everybody's in a perpetual hangover. It's a sordid crowd of adulterers and alcoholics, and just a crowd that you do not want to get mixed up in. This leads Marlowe to Mexico and pretty much all over Southern California. The author just brings you on this, like, whole trip to find out what happened to the wife, who killed the wife, why did Lennox kill himself, and more bodies keep turning up, and you wonder how many people are going to die before Marlowe actually figures it out. As I said previously with Invisible Man, I did an essay on this, on the importance of location, and that this is set in California. Everybody migrated from the East Coast to the West Coast in search of prosperity and the gold rush. In this novel, Chandler takes you on this, like, very picturesque drive down the West Coast from Pasadena downward. I would love to reread this in that I wouldn't have to write an essay afterwards. I can still see my little annotations in here, which is great. Do you ever get that when you reread a book that you read for school and you see what parts you highlight and what parts you underlined and annotated, and you're wondering, why did I do that? Because there's no point in that. I was like a serial highlighter. And of course I flicked to the page where I have highlighted I like bars. Good stuff, Kazzie. I probably should have mentioned at the start that a number of the books that I want to reread are part of a series. So the next lot of books that I want to talk about are 3 series. I can never say that word. I can never think of what the proper way to say it is. But the first series that I want to reread is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. If you know me, you will know, or have been around on my channel for a while, you will know that Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children is my favorite series of all time. I love it so much that I've actually reread Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children already. I've read it twice already, and I want to read it probably about 50 billion more times because I love it. And I've already done a video on Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, the book and the movie, and my thoughts on the movie, and also Tales of the Peculiar, which is a series of fairy tales that are important in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children universe. How many more times can I say Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children? A lot. So I want to reread Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, Hollow City, Library of Souls, and Tales of the Peculiar. I devoured every single book in the space of a week. I know that's pretty slow for a lot of people, but for me, that is super duper fast because I'm not the fastest reader in the world. The characters that Ransom Riggs creates with these books, I love them. Miss Peregrine owns my heart. I will say that whenever I'm reading the books, I'm seeing Eva Green, not the photographs that he provides. But that's just personal taste, and that's just my imagination, and that's just the way I prefer it. I want to feel all of those emotions again when reading it. I want to go on these adventures with the characters again. I want to see Miss Peregrine kick some ass again in Library of Souls. And I just want everything again, and I loved it so much. Can you tell I loved it? The next series that I want to reread, because let's just face this should just be called the series I want to reread, is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, which includes The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay. I first read Hunger Games about 5 years ago because I watched Hunger Games on a flight home from Texas, and I absolutely loved that movie. I had heard about it when it first came out, but I didn't really bother seeing it in the cinema. I didn't really know what it was about. So then I started to read the books, and I absolutely loved them. I read them one right after the other. I marathoned them and fell in love with them. Catching Fire is my favorite. Mockingjay, not so much. I loved it. I still loved it, but it just wasn't on par with Catching Fire. I could not put that one down. I got the idea to reread it when a couple weeks ago Hunger Games was on TV, and I just remembered how much I loved that movie and how much it made me cry at times. Let's just say rue. Spoiler alert in case you haven't read the book. And so I just want to get back into that universe again. I love Katniss. At times I wanted to hit her, at times I wanted to just hug her, at times I was just like, yeah girl, yeah. There's nothing really much I can say, it's just that I want to reread Hunger Games because I love those books. And who knows, maybe with a reread of Mockingjay I might like it a little bit more. Who knows? Who knows? The next series that I want to reread is part of a trilogy, but I only have the first 2 books. The author had just said on social media that even though she's been quiet about her series, that we should look forward to December, so that's why this is on this reread list, and that is Outsider by Claire Delise. That includes Outsider and Defiance. If you haven't heard of Claire Delise, she is a YouTuber. She does amazing stuff. She does amazing makeup looks, she does amazing special effects looks, and she does amazing artwork. She designed these covers herself. This is actually like a face. She did the cast for it, and then she created this as well. She did like a clay cast or something, and she did videos on how she actually made these book covers, and I love this entire series. She's even shown how she's drawn her character. I am in awe of her ability with her artwork. It is just incredible. She's so detailed and so vivid, and with seeing her characters come to life like that, it really makes them stand out in the books. It really makes the whole universe light up. This series follows Astrid, who is a half-blood, and her parents are murdered for marrying outside of their race. And so she ends up in the care of a well-meaning wizard, and she vows to never become helpless like she was when her parents were killed. So 40 years later, a young dwarf, Jarl, thinks that his city is in danger from a goblin king, and so he journeys to get help, but encounters Astrid along the way, and so she's pulled back into all this politics and danger and war, and it's a world that she never wanted to become a part of because it's the same world that killed her parents. I could not put Outsider down, and then when I finished it I went straight on to Defiance, and I absolutely loved it, and I have been sitting waiting for the 3rd book for so long that I cannot wait. So I would like to have these reread before the 3rd book comes out. The next book is kind of a, you want to reread that already? Because you only just really finished reading it not that long ago, and that is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I know. Everybody and their mother is talking about this book, and I read it in April when I didn't really hear much about it from BookTube or really anywhere, and so I just picked it up at random in Belfast Airport, and I absolutely fell in love with it, and I want to reread it. Because why not? It is just a fabulous book. Laini Taylor's writing is just wonderful. It's so beautiful and it just flows. I did not have to stop once in this book to figure out a sentence. It just flowed beautifully. I love the character. It follows Laszlo Strange, who is a librarian, and he is part of a convoy to help the lost city of Weep that nobody has heard of in 15 years. They have a problem. They need the greatest minds to help them, and so Laszlo is part of the convoy to help the situation. But whilst there, he has these dreams of this blue-skinned goddess, but it also follows the blue-skinned goddess as well, because she's real. She's real, people. And so they're trying to help Weep, but also discover what's happening, what are the hidden secrets of Weep, what's the hidden history of Weep, what do they not know about Weep, and I absolutely loved it. There were times in this book when the shit just hit the fan and I just could not put the book down, even though it was like 1 a.m. and I was working at 6 a.m. I just could not put it down. I would refuse to put it down because I just needed to know what happened. I really just want to reread this one again because I had like a real love connection with this one. And last but by no means least, I want to reread Born with Teeth by Kate Mulgrew. If you know me, and you've known me for years, Kate Mulgrew is one of my favourite people in the world. She's been my favourite actress since I was 11 years old, and I have met her. She got me drunk because we had a dinner with her with about 10 other girls, and she ordered the wine and stole our food. Joey doesn't share food! But it's Kate Mulgrew. You can't say no to her. And as soon as I knew she was coming out with a memoir, I knew I had to have it. I have the hardback version and the paperback because I'm addicted, and it's Kate Mulgrew. So as a memoir, and she talks you through pivotal moments in her life, from her birth to her upbringing, to deciding she wanted to be an actress, to moving to New York City, and how she became pregnant at an early age, and how it was going to impact her career, and how much, you know, she wasn't ready to have a child, or she wouldn't be able to care for her. Abortion was not in the cards, and the father didn't want anything to do with it, so she gave her up for adoption. And she describes what happened when she gave birth, what happened immediately afterwards, and how for the preceding years it haunted her, and how much she wanted to talk about it, but nobody wanted to listen to her. With reading this book, I thought I knew how I was going to react with everything that she would disclose. I didn't. I reacted in different ways. It's a very intimate book. There are things that I didn't think that she was going to disclose because it was very intimate, and then there are things that took my breath away. I just felt so protective of her in this book. The beautiful thing about this book is that she doesn't paint herself as this wonderful person. She shares her flaws, she shares her misgivings, she shares her weaknesses and how she did things wrong. That's the one thing about this book that I really took away, because it wasn't like, oh, my life was perfect. That's the thing, it wasn't perfect. Nothing in her life was really perfect. That's what I loved most about this book, and that's why I want to reread it, because I got such respect and awe from this woman. When I first read it, naturally I was like going in with rose-tinted glasses because, you know, Kate Mulgrew, my idol, Captain Catherine Janeway, Galina Red Reznikoff, those were completely shattered in this book. There are times when I think back of how I read it, I think like, oh, I kind of missed that part, oh, I missed that part, I missed that part. And so that's why I want to go through it again, so that I can really grab those nuances and really, really get to the nitty-gritty. Plus, she's writing a second book. Not memoir, but fiction. That's exciting. So that wraps up this video, guys. These are all the books that I want to reread. I know there a number of them are part of a series, but let me know in the comments what books you want to reread, whether or not you want to read these ones again yourself, or whether you actually just want to read them for a first time. Let me know. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!